Anyway,
That's
what's
fine.
up, boyos? We're talking the Batman. I'll say it again. If you haven't watched it, maybe leave because we're going to spoil it. But also, like, I don't know. This isn't really a movie with, like, spoilable stuff, right? Like, it's not like Spider-Man and spoiler for Spider-Man. It's not like, oh, 2 other fucking Spider-Man shows up, right? It's just like a story. And that's something I really like about the movie, that it's just like, this is just a story, you know? And we're just going to tell that story unabashedly and unapologetically. This is the story that we're telling. This is the story we wanted to tell, and this is what you're getting. I guess I'll start it off since I'm already here. I really fucking love the movie. I thought it was really good. It had some issues for sure, and I'll talk about those issues that I had with it in a minute. But just overall, I think it was a great movie. If I had to give it a score out of 10,
Which you don't do.
which I don't do, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'd probably, like, honestly, I'd probably give it like a strong 8.5 to light 9. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, that's almost like a 20-point system, though.
What'd you think of the movie, Nick?
It was fine. It was fine. Like I posted on Twitter.
I thought you were gonna say you hated it, and I was gonna be very mad.
If you saw my post on Twitter, you're like the only person that liked it. My Twitter is at fatal_microwave, and I posted on Twitter, and I'm like, I'd see it again.
Yeah,
that's my rating for this movie. I'd see it again.
But to me, I took that as like, damn, Nick really liked this movie because he doesn't watch anything.
Yeah, no, that's not true. That's not true. We've done a whole thing of MCU movies, for good and bad.
The channel, yeah, but just like in general.
But okay, so I liked it. Good enough. It didn't do anything for me, though. Okay. I didn't feel shit during this entire movie. It felt so bland. The whole movie, the writing, I didn't like the writing. The things that I will give it credit for, the music was good, although overdone at some points.
I loved it.
I loved how the sound effects were good, except the fucking walking of Batman, whose boots are made of fucking lead.
I love
it. Clink, clink, and he's obviously wearing like leather boots. Like
he's so stupid. His suit is obviously like metal or something because he takes fucking gunshots and explosions and shit.
Yeah, but like his shoes are leather. Like,
but like he's got metal on his legs that would clink, right?
If he had like what are those spurs on his boots? I could see that.
But like I figured his armor on his legs is like metal and it's like clinking as he steps down. I didn't think it was like the boot itself was metal.
The way the Foley was, it was like the boot hitting the ground. I didn't take it as like there's something loose clinking on his.
I took it as that 100%, and like I thought that was fucking terrifying, and I loved it so much. It was like, dude, this guy is spooky, and I liked it because it was like a new take on Batman, like, well, new in the movies, because like in the movies we've just seen him sort of like hiding, and like he kind of sneaks out and like disappears. In this one, he's like, nah, I'm right here. I'm right here, motherfucker.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
You hear him coming. Is what you're
every
saying.
time you were expecting Jim Gordon to turn around and he's gone, like in the Dark Knight or whatever, he's still there. He's still just standing there. He never just like disappears. He doesn't have the Batman like plot armor shit. And to me, that's almost like that's because he's not fully Batman yet. This movie was a lot like
he's been Batman for 2 years.
Yeah, that's not a very long time. That's not a very long time at all. That's like barely enough time to get anything done, you know, as a superhero, like, especially just like a dude who works like maybe twice a week, you know, as Batman. I'm not
done with.
Okay. Sorry.
I got one more thing. The last thing that I really enjoyed and brought me around from this movie to where it's like, I will watch it again, was the visuals. The visuals, stunning. Totally. Stunning visuals. Other than that, it was very like it's fine. It was fine. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, there's a lot of things in this movie that just either don't make any sense or I just didn't like it. But go ahead. That was it. That was my list.
Yeah, I think for me, I need a second watch of it just because there's so much that happens as far as like it's a pretty straightforward like mystery that they're solving, and I really like that too, where it's like this is the first time we really see, besides like BVS where he's sort of snooping around during that party or whatever, this is really the first time we've seen him do detective shit, and I enjoyed that a lot. And there's a lot of stuff that I feel like maybe on a rewatch I'd be able to follow the story a little bit more with like the whole Falcone Maroni stuff, because a lot of it is pretty like it's a lot. It's a lot. I like the stuff with his dad. Like, I didn't like that. The stuff with his dad, I like the idea of it. I didn't like the execution of like his dad. Like, oh, he made a mistake, because the main issue I had with it was like, nah, your dad, he's a bad man. He killed somebody. He's bad. And then like 2 seconds later, Alfred's like, nah, it's not true. And it's like,
he's in this movie, going on that, in this movie, I feel like Robert Pattinson. Robert's, I'll just say Robert. We're on first name basis.
My boy
me
Rob.
Me and Rob. I feel like Rob's Batman is just autistic. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. But like he has zero like communication skills. So Falcone's just like, your dad's bad man. And he's like, my dad's bad. And then he goes over to Alfred. And then Alfred's like, no, he's not. And he's like, I've never felt like crying before. Like, it was just like, okay.
I like that moment, though. That one, it wasn't earned. It wasn't earned.
No,
but I liked that moment where he's like, I used to think I didn't have fear, but now now I fear losing the people I love. And then he like holds his hand. Like, I like that. It didn't feel earned, because like the first scene you see with him and Alfred is like, you're not my dad. And it's just like,
there's no progression to it. It's just,
like, did we need that right away?
He gets blown up, and then, and now I love you. Like, what? Yeah. There was no like, okay, you are my dad. There was no moment where Peter Quill realizes that Zondu's actually his daddy.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't get that.
What I was gonna say earlier, that I forgot.
So rudely interrupted.
No, you didn't. I rudely interrupted you, to be fair. But I was gonna say this. I was gonna say there are some parallels here between this movie and No Way Home, and I'm gonna get hate for this, okay? But really, they both feel like these are the superheroes that are like, by the end of the movie, they're finally actually the characters. Like, by the end of No Way Home, you're like, okay, he's finally Spider-Man. By the end of this movie, I'm like, okay, he's finally Batman. He gets it. Because the whole movie is like, I'm vengeance. I am vengeance. He doesn't like, he's not like, I'm Batman. He's like, I'm vengeance. I'm fucking vengeance. And then the guy at the end is like, I'm vengeance. And he's like, oh, fuck. Yeah, that's probably the wrong thing to be saying.
I see what you did there.
And like, he sees the Riddler. At one point, the Riddler's like, like, you inspired me to do this. And it's like, oh, and like at the beginning of the movie, you see the guy with like half the paint covered, right? And he's like on the edge of like, I don't want to be a criminal, but I'm sort of stuck with this crew. And he sees Batman, and instead of Batman like reaching out and being like a symbol of hope, which is what he becomes at the end, he's a symbol to just fucking scare the shit out of him. Right?
Yeah.
Where like in the next movie, if that were to happen again, he'd probably beat those guys up and be like, listen, I'm here for you, man. And apparently the guy who was that guy who played that character, he played Tim Drake in the Titans show.
Oh.
So that's a fun fact. I don't know if that means that this universe is connected or something. I've never seen that show in my life. But just a fun little fact for you. Maybe that guy will be our Robin in the next movie.
Tim Drake,
which would be kind of cool. I would love to see Batman with a Robin.
This Batman with a flamboyant Robin.
He doesn't have to be flamboyant, though.
But it would be great. It would be so great if he's flamboyant. Okay. It would be so fantastic. I think the dichotomy of that would just be like this guy that doesn't fucking say anything. And he's just like, all the time. And then you got somebody who's like doing flips and is like, hey, I'm Robin.
What's up? Yeah. I love Gotham.
Maybe not that flamboyant,
I
but you
love
know what I
Gotham
mean.
in this movie as well. Like I think Gotham is just it takes the Dark Knight's Gotham like to the next level where it's like this is a fucking hellscape. And
Yeah.
I like that they're not
Well,
like I felt like the Gotham of the Dark Knight was very much I know they took like influences from a bunch of different places, but it really felt like New York, you know, like this one is
from
like from the Dark Knight.
right, okay.
The Batman didn't feel like New York. This is like the shitty streets of like Chicago
Oh
or
no,
like
dude. I
Detroit, you know, like
110% disagree with you.
really.
This the opening scene, the first time we see Gotham, we see a fucking what is that? Times Square. We see a Times Square in Gotham, and it's like, oh, this is like cyberpunk and shit. Like that's the first time I saw it. It was like he's where he's going around. He's like, I'm not. I'm a freaking. I'm a fear symbol, and people will respect me because I can't be everywhere. And then it's
Yeah.
the opening scene, and we see that guy who's robbing the bank, and he's robbing it like right in front of Times Square.
Yeah,
It's
no.
like a
It
Times
definitely
Square,
just like
and
every
then
other Gotham, it has influences from a bunch of big cities. Like, of course, like
and
that's
I
always going to be the case. But it felt like its own thing, really, and I like that. It was like super dark, and it took the time to be like, let's just do a long shot of a homeless guy right here. You know, like it took the
yeah
time to really show like the streets are rough here. You know, like this is not a city you want to live in, and by the end of it, all hell has broken loose. Like it's like
oh yeah
the National Guard's on its way. You know, like I'm so excited to see where this story goes from here. And that was the main thing I really liked about this movie was like,
prospect of another one.
yeah, it like set up this universe so well for me to be like,
I'm to be honest, I'm kind of sick of that. I'm kind of sick of movies going, we're gonna set up for the next one.
I don't even think
Like
that's what this movie did though. I
think
feel like
I feel like it
unlike
did.
every other there wasn't like hints of like, oh, here's Mr. Freeze, you know, besides the one little Joker cameo, but that felt more like this is a bad guy that Batman took out previously, right? Like that felt like more like that to me in this. Although I hated that scene.
That scene was horrible.
I fucking hated that scene, but it's such a small scene. Like it's hard to really gripe on it too much. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Like to me, it didn't feel like it set up a world for sure,
Right.
and it set up a universe, but it told a story. Like the story was complete. His character arc was complete through this movie.
Yeah.
You know, like it told a full.
But the
complete story.
problem that I have with it is his character arc was complete through that one line that one guy says.
Not
Like
really.
it,
I think
yeah,
the whole time he was
100%. I feel like it could have been just here's Batman. He punches people and calls himself Vengeance. Flash forward 10 minutes. Bad guys are doing bad things. He beats them up, and the guy goes, "I'm Vengeance." Character arc finished. Like I feel like that 3-hour movie could have just
I don't
been
think
a
it was
20-minute
just
short.
I don't think it was just the guy saying I'm vengeance though. I think it was the whole experience, like the fact that he went through this with the Riddler and the Riddler being like we worked together. This was me and you. Like
Mhm.
you were the one who
But that
influenced
it's
me.
this. It goes through like this movie has a very bad problem with
But like
making
also the
making
fact
you
that like the kid at the beginning of the movie was like scared of him and everyone was scared of him and he tried to save people and they were scared of him, and by the end of the movie that wasn't the case. You see the kid hold on to his arm. It was all of these things together that told him like, no, I need to be a symbol of hope and not just vengeance. I'm still vengeance. I am still vengeance, but I'm also as he once famously said in Batman the animated series, I am vengeance, I am the night, I am the Batman. And that's what they
Right.
were going for in this one. I felt.
But this movie has a problem with making. Not I don't know about making, but thinking that the audience is really dumb. I feel like everything in this movie that could have been interesting or like a little inference to something, like it's they've just completely go, here's the answer. Here's exactly what we were going for. And you're like, "Oh, that didn't give me time to like think about this movie at all. You literally just spelled it out for me." Like
I
the biggest example being when he's that first scene where he's in the apartment and solving the crimes and the Riddler, like he gets that card from the Riddler, and like you have about a minute, maybe less, probably less time to think about that first riddle where it's like I'm what does a liar do when he's dead or whatever,
yeah, he lies
and
still.
it gives
Uh,
you like 30 seconds to think about it, and then he's like lie still, and you're like oh okay yeah sure that's
but
exactly what it
I
is,
I
but then
feel
every time after that it was just like the guy with the bomb.
right.
I understand that because it was such a rush thing, but he's like, you have 3 minutes or something like that
But this
to
movie's
answer
not.
these questions. And
I
then,
feel like this movie wasn't going for like, oh, you're playing along with the Batman. It's like, no, the Batman is the world's greatest detective. He's gonna figure this shit out way
but
before
he's
you do.
not. He's a terrible detective in this movie.
He fucks up like a couple times for
A
sure,
lot of
because he's
times.
like year two, right? Like he's still figuring it out. But like, it would make sense that he figures this shit out quicker than us. And I feel like that's what they're going for. You know, this isn't Dora the Explorer where they're waiting for you to
Right.
answer
No,
before you get
no,
an
I
answer
get that.
back.
But like some sort of uncertainty, like we never see him go back to the lab and like pour through evidence. We see him like replaying tapes, but he's never like, remember in Batman the animated series, I think it was, um, where he goes back and he's like literally, or even Dark Knight, where he's literally piecing together like the bullet casings and for the fingerprint. We don't get anything like that. It's he's got these gadgets that go in his eyes and he can record shit.
I think we did kind of get that though
When?
with
What was it? What was the
when
scene? Because
he's
I'm not
looking back
remembering.
and like reinvestigating the room and stuff with when he
At the
takes the
very end where he like pulls up the
he does
rug?
it a couple times where you see him like take the contact lenses out and he's like looking at the
Right.
and
Yeah,
you get
but
a whole
we
scene of him just like palling around through a fucking crime scene, just like looking around. Several scenes of those of him just looking at crime scenes and
but,
looking at papers. It's
but we never it's
we did
just
get the
so
exact scene of him using like ballistic technologies to figure out where a bullet came from, but like we already got that in a different movie.
in a different movie. But like it's not, I feel like it needs to be done, but it's
I don't know what you're trying
uh,
to say.
what I'm trying there wasn't any connection from to the audience to this movie. I feel like this movie was just a movie and there was no reason for me to get invested because they just spit out everything. You know? It's there was no like oh or like I got to think about that. Like the only question throughout pretty much this whole movie was who's the rat?
Yeah, and we all knew who it
And
was.
that's it. Like there and then that was
That
the only question I had through the entire movie was who's the rat? Everything every other question that arose was immediately answered like the next scene or that same scene. And it was I wish it kind of you know broke off a little piece of the bread so that you're like you know you take it and you're like what does
I
this
just I
information
just
mean?
don't think that's true though, because I think like yeah, it was answered pretty immediately, but like that was intentional by the Riddler. Each thing led to the next thing, and once you solve the riddle, like that, you move on to the next one. Like I don't know, and there was a few that he had to like ponder on, like the one with the wings and El Rada Alada, and like there were a few of them, but I don't know. I just don't know what you would have wanted. I guess
I
like you wanted to solve the mystery with the Batman. Like
sort of like you think of any sort of thriller. I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking of uh my God, Jesse Pinkman, Bryan
Breaking Bad.
Cranston, Breaking Bad. I'm thinking Breaking Bad, where they kind of set up. Gus in particular, like who is this big bad guy? And you're like trying to figure it out, like who it is. And then they finally reveal Gus, and you're like, oh, it's literally this guy who runs a chicken place. And it's kind of like, whoa, I was not expecting that. And this movie had none of that. There was no like interesting anything in this movie.
I think the problem with that in this movie is that we know Batman, right? And we know his characters, and we know who Falcone is. Like, if we had no idea who Falcone was, right? Like, never seen him before, and he was a brand new character for a brand new franchise, it probably would have hit a little harder that he was the Rat or whatever. But like, we know, like, it was kind of like, oh, well, it's him or the Penguin, right? And that was kind of the issue. But I don't know. I was along for the ride. I was on the edge of my seat through a lot of it. There's a lot of tension and stuff.
And then, yeah, oh man, there was the freaking the hints that were given, the riddles that were given. They started out really good and really funny, like with the thumb drive and everything like that. I'm like, oh, that's clever. That's funny. And Batman knows. He's like, I'm looking for a USB. And what's his face goes, a USB? Why? And he's like, thumb drive. And I'm like, that's clever. We don't get that until the very last clue with El Rata.
You are El Rata Alata.
Yeah, you are El Rata Alata. And it's like, okay, but none of the other things were even remotely funny. None of the other clues that they set up or anything. It was just like, go here, go there. It felt like a checklist that he was just doing. He's like, now you found me. I will be here. Like, it wasn't a riddle. It was like, when you get him into the light, blah, 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 I will show myself. And he's just like, oh yeah, the light. There's the light above my head. I can see the windows open. Like, it was just so stupid. Some of the clues weren't riddle clues at all. They were just fucking sayings that the guy said and went,
yeah,
blah, 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 blah. And
that's kind of the Riddler, though. Like, he's a fucking maniac. I don't know. It made sense to me because, like, even at the beginning of the movie, I saw this online. Like, if you look at some of the wide shots, you'll see the Riddler in that room, like taking pictures down there. Like,
that's kind of cool.
It's kind of like setting it up throughout the movie that he's been there the whole time, and they never even thought to look and like bring him into the light. And yeah, like that was kind of part of his plan. There was some issues though, like for sure. Like, I don't like totally disagree with you. Like, it was a little like weird. Like, the whole Penguin chase scene seemed a little like Batman, what are you doing?
It was set up. It was just
like, don't get me wrong, the scene was fucking awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, the scene was fucking sick. The dude, apparently the car coming through the flames was practical effects. Like, that's fucking awesome. It looked awesome as he's walking up.
Oh yeah,
like that whole scene was fucking cool. But it's like, why would he even let him get in the car in the first place? Why would he risk these people's lives just to catch the Penguin? And then when he catches him, he wasn't even the guy. He wasn't even the guy.
and then they just let him go. Leave him there.
Yeah.
They leave him
there.
They
killed like several people on this island.
That was the biggest. That scene when, you know, he's like behind the car and he's like shot a whole bunch of times. Catwoman's literally right there. Doesn't notice he has left. Nobody else has seen him leave. They just go, and now he's all the way behind you, and he's in his car, and he's starting it up. The car you didn't notice, and it's just like
Batman shit,
broom, and he just stands there. He sits there for way too long, and you're like,
to show off the car.
Is this gonna? Is something gonna happen? And then Penguin just goes, I'm running. Like, what is happening? That scene was so confusing. Really cool looking, but very confusing.
There's a lot of, I think there's a lot of that in this movie in general, where there's just like a lot of cool looking stuff, but like it's kind of confusing. And that's why I kind of want to rewatch just to see if it like clicks together a little bit more. And that's kind of what I meant earlier, was like, I want to see if some of this stuff clicks together on a rewatch.
Right.
or if it makes it worse. Because I'm a little worried that like on a rewatch, I'll be like, what are they doing? Why is he doing this?
Yeah.
But like I think even regardless of all that stuff, like the performances, like Robert Pattinson, I think was great.
Yeah.
One thing I would have liked from Robert Pattinson is like we've gotten, Michael Keaton has done the I'm Batman, like I lower my voice sort of thing. We got the Christian Bale, I'm Batman, yeah, yeah. Like we've gotten that. We got the Ben Affleck, the Ben Affleck voice changer thing, and with Robert Pattinson, he just sort of whispers, which is fine. It would have been cool though if like instead of him changing his voice a lot for Batman, he changed his voice a lot for Bruce Wayne. And because that's how it kind of is in the Batman animated series, where like his Bruce Wayne is like, hey, I am Bruce Wayne. How are you doing, young children? And then he's the Batman. He's like, I am the knight. Like I think that'd be cool. And I think that's still something we could see in the next movies, because I think he's going to find it to be a little bit more advantageous for himself to create a sort of Bruce Wayne persona, which he hasn't created in this movie at all.
100%. But I think that also goes to the fact that nobody's seen him. He is a recluse. Bruce Wayne does not get out
and
in
that's
the
why
public
he can get away with
all, and he can get away with it. And now that he's like working with people, and I think he'll be more into the philanthropy side of Bruce Wayne as well. I think we might get exactly what you're saying, where he's just a happy guy, or maybe not happy, but just a different guy. But he's like dark and brooding.
And that's what I mean by like I think this movie, like if it has a sequel, which it probably will because it made a ton of money this weekend, but like I think a sequel to this movie, they can really hammer out some of these points and really make it hot, a really hot movie. Pone One God says it felt like someone wrote a script for a Batman game and they made it into a movie instead. I don't really hate that, because this movie did kind of feel like the Arkham games, like especially the fights, especially the fight scenes where he's like using the cape to like sort of turn him around, just like in the fucking games. Anyway,
well, the beginning where he's like putting all the clues together and stuff, it felt like a game, the way a game would have been laid out. And you, the main character, who doesn't say a whole lot, goes around investigating like little hints in the room. But then as the movie goes on, it kind of loses that as well, I feel like. Because like he's got the fucking contacts, and it's like, where's the clues? It's like a fucking silence mode, and it's just like you're looking. It's a Witcher sense. It's just there's an item over there.
It's really cool though. I really like that. I think it's really cool.
It is cool, but who developed it? He's not working with Lucius at this point.
We don't know that.
We haven't seen him.
I was under the impression that like Bruce is like kind of a scientist himself a little bit.
Oh, is he? Does he consider him a scientist?
I'm somewhat of a scientist myself.
There you go.
No, and I like that his Batcave isn't too like, it's not too developed. There's like the car, his like console system.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. Like that's all he has.
It's like Batman Begins, or not Batman Begins. It's Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
it's just like a cave with a computer in it.
That's
kind of what it feels like.
But it was also like, this is obviously he took influence from Batman Year One, the comic book, where it's like this is super early Batman. Like he hasn't done much yet. He's done some stuff for sure in his first couple years, but like he hasn't done a whole lot. And it also took from The Long Halloween and Hush, which are like three of my favorite fucking Batman stories. And I'm so excited that they're starting to do some of that other shit, because I feel like the last few Batmans, it's just like it's the Dark Knight Rises again, the Killing Joke again, so it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that they're starting to delve into some of that other stuff. But I don't think this is a perfect movie. I don't. I think there's some issues, but like I really, really liked it. It felt like a Batman-ass Batman movie where Batman's just doing Batman shit, and I think all the actors fucking killed it. I really like Jim Gordon, and I like the relationship between him and between Bruce and Jim Gordon, because like it's just like, I fucking love this guy. Like that one scene where he's just like, I don't trust anyone but you, and you're just like, damn, just make out already, like.
And then he punches him. Yeah,
just kiss. Yeah.
See, that was the thing though in this movie. That was the weakest part of this movie, was the relationships. None of them, except for maybe Jim Gordon, felt real at all. Anything that they set up, I didn't feel like had any sustenance to it. We didn't get anything from Jim Gordon himself. Like, we don't know their relationship except for what they say to each other. We haven't seen them a reason why Jim trusts him at all. Like, yeah, you did that thing for me back in the day. Like, we don't get any
I
of
like
that.
I like that though. I think it's implied, and it's like we've gotten so many Batman movies where it's like we got to see Batman and Jim
No,
become
I
buds.
get that.
It's like no, they're already friends. Like this has already happened.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
it's
we get some
implied that-
subtle lines that like they have a history together.
Mhm.
Like I like that.
Yeah.
I also like the misdirect at the beginning where you think it's going to be Bruce Wayne and his fucking family again. And you're like, God damn it. But no, it's just the mayor and he gets fucking murked.
And that was a crazy murder also.
Yeah, I love that.
But
Sorry.
like,
Anyway,
back to the relationships, like him and Alfred didn't feel fleshed out at all. He's just like, I hate you.
Yeah, I agree.
I
with
need to
that.
save you. Who the hell was the maid?
I didn't mind that. I actually thought that was fucking awesome. I'm like, yeah, Alfred would have a butler, a maid.
Another helper,
he wouldn't be
yeah.
doing butler shit. He's doing Batman shit. Like he doesn't have time for that. Also, it's like he's not really the butler. He's his fucking dad. Like he raised him.
Yeah,
like he would
that's
have a
true.
butler, and he was in charge of finances for so long. Like yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense
Yeah.
that he'd have a maid. I love
But
that.
then does
shit.
the maid know it's Batman as well?
No.
That I would maybe something like that, but the maid's a very minor character. The thing with Selena, I didn't feel any sort of connection, and there was like the first kiss. I'm like, what? What
Seemed
the
a little
fuck?
rush. Seemed a little rush.
Hold the fuck up! Like, what the hell?
Seemed a little rush, but these are also some like, these are like some crazy unhinged people that maybe might rush some stuff. I could see it. Also, the
But
two
then-
of them together, super hot. I was into it. I was hard
Yeah.
the entire movie.
I mean, they're both hot, but
rock hard
but
the
then-
entire movie, dude.
but then her just fucking blathering out that
Oh, he's my dad.
he's my dad.
That was
like,
stupid. Unnecessary.
What's your relation? How do you know? What's his face? What is
Falcone.
Falcone's. And she's like, I'll never tell you. Mahomes. Yeah. What's your relationship to Patrick Mahomes? She's like, I'll never tell you. And then he goes, tell me. And she goes, he's my dad.
He's
I'm
my
like,
daddy.
"What? Hold
Yeah,
on.
sweet.
And then she goes into the whole backstory, and I just felt like that was an exposition dump that
Yeah.
was just like unnecessary and kind of.
It was
Like, okay.
It was unfortunate. I agree. Like it was a little unnecessary, and they because I will admit, like I like the length of the movie, but it could have been 15, 25 minutes shorter. And they could have cut that shit out. They could have cut like I don't know. They could have cut a lot of stuff and made it work. It's one of the I kind of wish there was like like when they release it on video there's like a theatrical cut like instead of the director's
we got
cut.
rid of all of the shit that didn't really fit in there.
Because this feels like a director's cut, just released straight to movie theaters. You know what I mean? But maybe there will be a director's cut that's like fucking 4 hours long. Totally unnecessary.
Maybe
but
better.
I would assume so.
But then, all the characters who we meet, who they introduce, end up dying. Like right after we meet them, all they do is just fill the shoes for the story to go along. Like the Russian chick, who's Catwoman's friend.
Okay.
She just, she goes missing. She just goes missing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. What happened to that? And then she's like, I'm going to get my friend. Her friend dies. Now what? I'm going to get my dad. Like, it just felt like it was, at least her, it was like, we're going to put somebody here who's involved with the first murder so that we can get Selena introduced so that she has a reason to kill. And I feel like you could have just cut out Selena and the Russian chick entirely from this movie. I didn't think they were necessary at all.
I kind of agree. I really like Zoe Kravitz in the movie. I think she's great as Catwoman, but I kind of agree. Like we kind of didn't need Catwoman in this movie. I understand why you'd want to introduce Catwoman because she fits perfectly within this universe and like, but yeah, I kind of agree.
And then
there are some like great moments with her though, where he's like don't ruin your life for this. And she's like, don't worry, honey,
Yeah.
I got 9 of them. And she like jumps off. Like that was sick.
Hmm.
I love that
It
shit.
was cool.
There was some
But
cool
then
shit.
you get the DA guy whose head explodes, and he's just like,
Don't lose
he's
your
like
head.
a scummy guy, and then it's just like, oh, he's dead. Okay, well, moving on. It's just every character they introduced was just like just a setup for the next beat to happen, and it
Yeah,
felt
but
just very like
I
rinse
like
and repeat. Here's the next thing. Here's the next thing. It's just a checklist again, and
I
that's
kind of liked it though because it kind of proved the Riddler right. Like he was kind of
yeah.
correct because Batman really was just sort of going along with it, and he was just sort of like he knew that Riddler was one beat ahead, and he would. I feel like deep down, Batman kind of was like, yeah, these guys. At one point, Gordon even says like, "So you think these guys just had it coming?" And like, uh, Batman's like, no, I don't think that, but he kind of does, like, and that's one thing I really like about this movie too is like, we complain about villains not having good motives, but like, man, the Riddler had pretty good motives in this movie.
I think the Riddler was one of the better characters in this, honestly,
Yeah,
because
great.
he was the more thought out, and like it made sense what he was doing. And like at some points I agreed with it. I'm like, man, yeah, that's a shitty dude right there. But then by the end of the movie, he's just killing everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is his motive to that? Just kill everybody? Okay, great.
Had to lead them all into the thing to kill Rael or whatever.
He couldn't just kill her like he did the other people.
It totally got a little sloppy at the end with
Yeah.
that. It's like we got to just have big explosions and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got a little sloppy.
A big set piece for no reason.
Now, I was thinking this. Someone was mentioning like who do you want to have play Harvey Dent in the next Batman movie? And I was like,
Two-Face?
what if Rael is Two-Face?
Which one's right?
The mayoral candidate.
Oh, that would be kind of cool.
Because she's like, you're not doing enough. Like she cares about the city, like Harvey Dent does, and like it would be a nice misdirect because like I don't think a lot of people are expecting her to be Two-Face, and her name's not Harvey. So like, it would be kind of neat to be like, this is our Two-Face. It's Mayor Rael or whatever. Bella
That
Rael.
would be cool. But you know who I think should play Two-Face in this if they continue? Tommy Lee Jones, man.
Yeah, totally.
Bring him back.
One of our friends said Bradley Cooper, and I think that's a pretty good choice.
It's a pretty good choice.
It's pretty hot. It's a pretty good choice.
A lot of the new actors, like I don't pay attention to the new actors a whole lot.
Well, I think that's the great thing about the casting in this movie is like everyone who was casted, I would have never picked them in 100 years, and they were all perfect. Like I would have never picked Paul Dano to be the Riddler, and he was fucking great.
He was really good.
Same with Robert Pattinson. Like I would have never picked him, but he was so good. Like the close-up shots on his face, like were just so fucking good. Like they were really good. And
he does that emo look real well.
He does. It's a little too emo sometimes, but a little too emo sometimes.
I dig it. But
the use of Nirvana was great. I love that shit. But I'm biased. I'm biased as fuck. I love Nirvana. So like the trailer, right? It had Something in the Way, which is one of my favorite Nirvana songs. Always has been. It's a great song. And I was like, that's not going to be in the movie though, right? Because when Captain America: The First Avenger got a trailer, they used Tool in the soundtrack in the trailer. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking sick. And then they don't use it in the movie. So I thought that was gonna be the case with this. And then like the movie opens with that, and I'm like, shit, we're going, baby, let's go. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I was into it.
Yeah. So the last scene though, the worst casting or whatever was the Joker, or what we would assume is the Joker.
Yeah.
And that was the guy that plays
Druig.
Druig from
I don't even think it's like bad
Eternals.
casting. It's just like whatever they did, and like it just didn't work.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? They don't need a face for it, right? For that scene, I guess they just needed the silhouette. They could have dubbed over Mark Hamill as the Joker in that specific scene, and it would have been so freaking great just to have Mark Hamill do his Joker laugh on that scene. And I think that would have been like that would have made that scene so much better. Like as
Would've been cool.
awkward and dumb that scene was, if it was Mark Hamill giving the delivery, I think it would have been much better.
It also would have been pretty cool if you know, like initially everyone thought this movie was going to take place in the early 2000s, which I don't think it did. I think this is just modern day.
It's modern.
But it would have been cool if it was, and it was just Joaquin Phoenix. Like that would have been really cool.
Mhm.
It can't be
that would've been
Joaquin
cool,
Phoenix
too.
though, because like that movie takes place like 40 years before this. He'd be like fucking 80 years old, so wouldn't make much sense. But
They could have done it if they did Batman Beyond. They could have done it. I'm still waiting for Batman Beyond.
So okay, we're getting to the end here, okay? But I just want to know, like, in a sequel, what villains would you like to see? Like, what would you like to
I couldn't
in this
What villains?
universe? Like in this universe, like what would you like to see?
in this universe with if its sequel started immediately afterwards, like 6 months, max 6 months afterwards, and Batman's like he's still good and he's giving hope to people, but then it wouldn't make sense. I was gonna say Red Hood. You have Red Hood in it, but you know we didn't.
You gotta
have,
build to that.
We
You gotta
didn't.
build to
We
that.
don't have a Robin, but Red Hood is so. He is Batman. He just kills people. You know, he kills. He kills bad people, and I feel like both of them headbutting it out would be really cool to see. Like Batman going, "No, don't do this," and the other one going, I have to. Like you're gonna let this guy walk away. That would be cool.
What if like the next movie, like we get Jason Todd at the beginning, and the movie it doesn't even introduce the Joker, right? But then the movie just ends with the Joker showing up and killing Jason Todd, or like kidnapping him, and Batman thinking he's dead, and then the next movie after that we get the Red Hood and some Joker action, and like they just take the Joker out like right at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. They don't have to have.
And
him
then
in
the rest of the movie is like Red Hood shit. Like that'd be really
Mhm.
cool. That'd be a fun take on.
I mean, it would be a lot like the video game Arkham Knight,
sort of.
because it would just be who is Red Hood, and then at the end it's just like, oh shit, it's zombie Jason Todd.
Yeah, but an Arkham Knight would be pretty cool. I'd be into it. I would really just because I'd like to see like how the fuck would he pull this off in this like grounded. I think grounded's the wrong word for this universe. It's so dark that it's not grounded. You know what I mean? But like I'd like to see like a Mr. Freeze, because like how do you pull it off? I think it'd be cool as fuck.
I would love to pair that with a Poison Ivy as well.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
That would be so fucking cool.
Make it Kristen Stewart. Make her.
Yeah,
We get
dude.
the
I could see
reunion.
that.
We get the reunion of Bella and Edward from Twilight.
And you get who played? It was Arnold Schwarzenegger who played Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
So you have like John
chill
Cena
out.
play Mr. Freeze.
He's already Peacemaker though.
Oh, you're right. The
Yeah,
Rock.
The Rock. But he's
playing
already
Mr. Freeze.
he's Black Adam.
He's Black Adam. We're running out of wrestlers.
I know. Big Show.
Oh,
Well, it's a big show. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for the Arkham show. Apparently they're making an Arkham show, which is a spin-off, and it's got Jeffrey Wright in it, who played Jim Gordon. Should be good.
that's cool.
I really like Jim Gordon. Once again, I'll say that he reminded me a lot of his character in James Bond, Felix in James Bond. He's like the American FBI guy that hangs out with James Bond. They had the same sort of like Bond and Felix are like Jim and Batman in this. Like I liked it a lot. We'll see Hugo Strange.
The next iteration of this Batman.
I can see it. I'm also I know Robert Pattinson has kind of been going out on the press tour saying the same thing I'm saying, but Court of Owls would be fucking sweet.
Which one's that's the Illuminati, but Batman, right?
Well, yeah, and I feel like this movie is like, Court of Owls could easily exist within this universe, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of. It'd be kind of cool. to get Ian. Oh my God, what's his name? The guy that plays Ian from Shameless. I always forget his name.
Yeah.
Cameron Monaghan. You have
We
Cameron
could
Monaghan
we could
play.
see Hugo Strange in sorry to cut you off. We could see Hugo Strange in the Arkham show. That would be kind of neat. Come to think of it. Now I'm thinking about it. Anyway, Cameron, yeah. From Gotham.
From Gotham, because he plays Joker, I think. In
Yeah.
Gotham.
It's like a
That
joke.
would be kind of. It'd be kind of cool to use him. He's a really good actor.
He was good as that Joker. He was supposed to be like a fake Joker, but everyone liked him so much that they brought him back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hugo Strange would be really cool.
He'd work for that Arkham show. For sure.
Wasn't Hugo Strange in Dark Knight as well?
Like vaguely, like shortly.
Like shortly, yeah. Like he wasn't.
I don't remember. Honestly, it's been so long.
Dark Knight. Oh, I guess not.
I honestly haven't watched a lot of those movies in a long time.
A long time. Yeah.
I'd like to. Yeah, I don't know. What else is there to say? It's a good movie. It's not The Dark Knight.
No. If you want Batman, Dark Knight is going to be your best bet.
But like at the same time, like, you know, just because a movie is not better than another movie doesn't mean that this movie.
Yeah, go see it.
It's
go
worth
see
watching
it.
for sure.
It's fun.
It's awesome.
It looks nice.
Especially like if you're a fan of Batman, like this is it. This is the one. Like if you're a fan of the comics Batman, especially like the Greg Capullo run or like, you know, Hush or Long Halloween, any of that stuff, like yeah, you're gonna like this shit. Or even the animated series. Like you're gonna like this shit. It's good.
Yep.
That's it.
Thanks for joining us.
That's it.
Close it out, boy. Close it out, baby.
If there's any comments, get them in now, because I'm gonna close it out, baby. I'm gonna close it out. Make sure you check out all our other spoiler casts. We are almost done with the MCU. We got 2 movies left. Oh my god, we got 2 more movies. We got Captain Marvel and Endgame. And
then we'll have to rewatch Loki.
Yeah, maybe. Or I'll say I rewatched it. And then
it's not that long.
Yeah, you're right. It's doable. And then of course Multiverse of Madness, when that comes out, we'll do that. Yep. There's tons of content coming out on the channel. I plan on, like, once we're done with the MCU, I might have a little bit more time on Sundays to do some stuff. And I plan on making some more weird videos. So that should be fun. So look forward to that. And look forward to live streams. I've been playing Elden Ring. I think we're going to hop back to Horizon, though, because I want to play Horizon on stream. I think that'll be fun. Elden Ring's better to just play on my own. Anyway, Nick, final thoughts, final words?
Don't forget to feed your mother at night.
That's true.
Otherwise, she gets really angry in the morning, and you won't hear the end of it. Feed your mother before bed.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.